All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So in this video, I want to talk about 2001 World's Strongest Man winner, Svend Karlsen. So Svend Karlsen is a very unique strongman competitor because not only was he a strongman, but he was the best strongman in the world in 2001. And in addition to that, he was an IFBB professional bodybuilder. And of course, like most strongman competitors, he got his start in powerlifting. But if you're familiar with strongman, it's very rare to see a strongman competitor that's ripped and lean and has the ability to have, a very impressive physique as well as being the world's strongest man. Typically, we see these guys bulk up as much as they can so they have as much strength, in reserve, whether that be in body fat and just sheer size. Because typically the mindset is, force equals mass times acceleration. So the heavier you are and the faster you can move weight, the stronger you are. So typically the mindset is let's just get big as possible. But Svend Karlsen actually had a very, very impressive physique, impressive enough to become an IFBB Pro Bodybuilder. So Svend Karlsen was Norwegian, and he actually became a pro bodybuilder by winning the Mr. Norway competition, and he also took second place at the World's Games bodybuilding competition. So that's how he earned his pro card, and the reason he quit bodybuilding was actually suffering a severe muscle tear that forced him to retire. However, before retiring, he actually competed in the 1994 Night of Champions, which, as many of you know, in the 90s you had the Olympia, the Arnold Classic, the Night of Champions, and the Ironman. So arguably, the 1994 Night of Champions was the third biggest show in bodybuilding in 1994. Now, unfortunately, Svend Karlsen placed dead last. He actually tied for 16th place at the 1994 Night of Champions. And for those of you who know bodybuilding, 1994 was the year that Mike Francois won the Night of Champions. Nasser El Sambadi was the runner-up that year. You had other guys competing that you guys may know. Lee Priest was in that show. Mike Quinn was in that show. Jim Quinn was in that show. And other guys that were tying for 16th place that tied was Sven, Rich Gaspari, and Troy Zucalato, two guys that you may have heard of. So he wasn't that bad of a bodybuilder, but as a pro, he wasn't very successful. And unfortunately, that muscle tear was the reason he did not go on to continue to compete as a pro bodybuilder. But in my opinion, overall, he had a very, very good bodybuilding physique. He had a nice small waist on stage. Very surprising you would see that from a strongman competitor. But at that point in time, he hadn't really pursued strongman yet, so he didn't really have the opportunity to put on a whole bunch of weight that would really distend the waist. So he actually had a really nice, tight waistline. He had good arms. He had a good lat spread. He was really actually a pretty solid bodybuilder with a pretty solid physique. So who knows what he would have gone on to do had he not suffered that muscle tear. So as a strongman competitor, he would begin a strongman career in 1996, and he would go on to compete 8 times at the World's Strongest Man competition, starting his very first year as a strongman in 1996, where he placed 18th. A couple years later, several years later, he would move up to first place in 2001. So between 1996 and 2004, 8 total World's Strongest Man competitions, and he also competed in 4 Arnold Strongman Classics. Obviously, probably one of the most noteworthy would be the 2002, where he was the runner-up to WWE superstar Mark Henry, who actually won the 2002 Arnold Strongman Classic. He was the runner-up again in 2003 and 2004. Then in 2005, he would slip down to 6th place. So let's get to some of his powerlifting accomplishments. So done in an official powerlifting meet, his best bench press was 573.2 pounds or 260 kilograms. His best squat was 881.8 pounds or 400 kilograms. And his best deadlift was 412.5 kilograms, which is 909.4 pounds. So this guy was insanely strong as a powerlifter. And keep in mind, this was prior to becoming a strongman competitor. So as a strongman, his height and weight, his height was 6'2" or 188 centimeters tall. His weight was 287 pounds or 130 kilograms. This was a big dude. One of his nicknames was the Viking, and he is still alive today at the age of 50 years old, and he is currently the event organizer for Norway's Strongest Man. So that is the quick little bio on Svend Karlsen. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a little bit about a strength athlete you might not have known much about before. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.